Hey everyone, welcome back to What's the Deal, where we dive deep into the biggest stories of the day. Right now, we're just 2 days away from Election Day 2024. That's right, on Tuesday, November the 5th, Americans will be heading to the polls in what's shaping up to be one of the most pivotal elections in recent history. Candidates have been crisscrossing the nation, and issues like the economy, healthcare, climate change, and social justice are at the forefront of voter minds. With the intense build-up we've seen, this election isn't just about choosing leaders, it's about the direction of the country for years to come. Each vote counts, and with early voting numbers already breaking records, the stakes feel higher than ever. We're going to break down what's at stake, the key issues on voters' minds, and where each major candidate stands on the issues shaping our future. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay informed on the latest trends and stories. And as always, share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Now let's dive in. With just 2 days until the 2024 US presidential election, the nation is on high alert as voters prepare to decide who will lead the country for the next 4 years. The candidates have spent months campaigning, but the final stretch has brought a new level of urgency. Both parties are holding rallies in critical swing states, targeting undecided voters and pushing their messages as the clock ticks down. The 2024 election is significant not only because of the candidates involved. Incumbent President Joe Biden and his main challenger, former President Donald Trump, but also because of the issues that have come to define this campaign season. Topics like economic inequality, healthcare reform, and climate change are at the forefront. As inflation and the cost of living continue to challenge many Americans, candidates are under pressure to present tangible solutions that can make a difference in everyday lives. This election season has also seen a resurgence in voter engagement, with young voters, women, and minority groups showing heightened interest. Key issues like reproductive rights and gun control have spurred many to participate, hoping to influence the outcome of these debates that impact their lives directly. In addition to the policy debates, both Biden and Trump have had to address concerns about their own leadership styles and fitness for office. With Biden's age and health coming under scrutiny, and Trump's multiple legal battles raising questions about his eligibility, voters are not only examining policy platforms but also evaluating who they trust to lead in turbulent times. Furthermore, with the recent rise in political misinformation, the role of social media and traditional media coverage has become more prominent. Both sides are using various platforms to rally supporters and sway undecided voters, knowing that information, and sometimes misinformation, can have a significant impact on voter turnout and perception. Adding another layer to this year's election are critical congressional and local races, where several seats could flip and shift the balance of power. This makes it even more likely that voter turnout will play a crucial role, as these races could impact legislation on healthcare, education, and environmental protection. With early voting already breaking records in many states, it's clear that Americans recognize the importance of their participation. As the countdown to Election Day 2024 continues, voters are faced with a range of pressing issues, each candidate bringing a distinct approach and vision for the country's future. In this section, we'll break down the primary issues shaping this election and where each candidate stands, focusing on topics like the economy, healthcare, climate change, and social justice. 1. The economy and inflation. One of the top issues on voters' minds is the economy. The economic challenges of the past few years, particularly inflation, the high cost of housing, and rising interest rates, have impacted millions of Americans. With inflation pushing up prices on everyday goods, both Biden and Trump are addressing economic stability, but their approaches differ sharply. President Biden has touted his administration's efforts to tackle inflation by creating jobs and investing in infrastructure through programs like the Inflation Reduction Act. His administration highlights job growth and reduced unemployment rates as signs that the economy is on the right path. Biden has also emphasized the need for further wage growth and protections for unions, advocating for policies that support working-class families. Recently, Biden's economic policy team has focused on Bidenomics, which aims to rebuild the American middle class through domestic manufacturing investments, technology, and renewable energy. On the other hand, Donald Trump has argued that Biden's policies have contributed to inflation and economic strain on American families. Trump has promised to reduce taxes, ease regulations, and lower costs by promoting energy independence and cutting what he describes as red tape around business operations. Trump claims these measures will stimulate economic growth, provide relief for businesses, and create jobs. Trump's economic platform also highlights a commitment to returning manufacturing jobs to the US, which he argues will reduce dependency on foreign markets, especially China. 2. Healthcare reform. Healthcare continues to be a pivotal issue in 2024, as the US remains one of the most expensive healthcare systems in the world. With rising prescription costs and medical debt affecting many Americans, both Biden and Trump have taken a stance on how they would handle healthcare reform. Biden has maintained his support for the Affordable Care Act, ACA, often known as Obamacare, which has been central to his administration's healthcare policy. He has proposed expanding ACA subsidies to make healthcare more affordable and accessible. Biden's administration has also worked to limit drug prices through Medicare negotiations, which his team highlights as a success in reducing prescription costs for seniors. If re-elected, Biden aims to push for a public health insurance option to offer affordable coverage for more Americans. Trump, however, remains a critic of the ACA, which he attempted to dismantle during his presidency. Trump has suggested he would replace the ACA with a system that he claims would lower costs through competition and reduce government involvement in personal healthcare decisions. His healthcare proposals focus on giving states more authority to manage healthcare programs and lowering costs by allowing more market competition. Although specifics are limited, Trump argues that his approach would streamline healthcare, providing quality services at a lower cost. 3. Climate change and energy policy. Climate change remains a deeply divisive issue, with Biden and Trump offering vastly different solutions. President Biden has made significant strides toward addressing climate change through investments in renewable energy, such as solar and wind, and by rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, which Trump had exited. Biden's administration has also set ambitious goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, with a plan to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. These initiatives, Biden argues, will not only combat climate change, but also create jobs in green energy sectors, benefiting the economy and the environment simultaneously. Trump's energy platform diverges sharply, emphasizing energy independence through increased oil and gas production. He has criticized Biden's green energy policies as costly and damaging to traditional energy sectors like coal and oil. Trump advocates for a return to energy dominance by promoting fossil fuel production, which he claims will lead to lower energy costs and boost American energy jobs. Trump has frequently argued that clean energy policies have led to economic burdens for American households, particularly in energy-heavy regions. 4. Social issues and civil rights. Social issues, including reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ protections, and racial equality, are playing a larger role in the 2024 election than in previous years. With pivotal Supreme Court decisions reshaping national laws, voters are closely watching where each candidate stands on these matters. President Biden has strongly defended reproductive rights, calling for federal protections to safeguard access to abortion, particularly following the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court. Biden's platform also emphasizes protections for LGBTQ+ individuals and actions to address systemic racism. His administration has launched several initiatives aimed at police reform, expanding voter rights, and reducing gun violence. These policies resonate with younger voters and marginalized communities who prioritize social equality and justice reform. Trump, in contrast, has emphasized states' rights on issues like abortion, arguing that the decision should remain in the hands of individual states rather than being mandated federally. He has expressed support for religious freedoms and has been critical of some progressive movements, framing them as threats to traditional American values. Trump has also pledged to crack down on crime and bolster law enforcement, aiming to position himself as a candidate who prioritizes law and order. These stances appeal to conservative voters who are concerned about rapid societal changes. 5. Foreign policy and national security. Foreign policy and national security remain crucial areas, particularly as global tensions rise and the US faces emerging threats. Biden's approach has emphasized coalition building with NATO allies, as seen in his support for Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. His administration is focused on diplomacy and multilateral agreements, especially in Asia-Pacific relations, to counter growing influence from China. Biden argues that these alliances are vital for maintaining US security and influence on the world stage. Trump's foreign policy, often described as America First, centers on reducing US involvement in foreign conflicts and renegotiating trade deals to benefit American interests. He has criticized Biden's foreign policy as too interventionist and has promised to prioritize national security by focusing on border control and stricter immigration policies. Trump also argues that financial aid to foreign nations should be limited unless it directly benefits American citizens. 6. Technology, social media, and free speech. The rapid growth of technology, AI, and social media has sparked new debates about regulation, privacy, and free speech. Biden has proposed stricter regulations for social media companies to combat misinformation and protect privacy, emphasizing the need for accountability in online spaces. His administration has supported legislation aimed at protecting data privacy and ensuring social media platforms do not spread harmful content unchecked. Trump, a frequent critic of social media platforms, has advocated for fewer restrictions on speech and more transparency from tech companies. He has argued that big tech companies should not have the power to censor or limit conservative viewpoints, and has pushed for reforms to Section 230. Which protects tech platforms from liability for user-generated content. Trump's stance appeals to voters concerned about free speech and censorship in the digital age. As Election Day draws closer, these issues create a sharp contrast between the two candidates. With Biden's policies focused on multilateralism, green energy, and social reform, and Trump's centered on deregulation, energy independence, and America First priorities, voters face a significant choice that could reshape the nation's future. Both sides are making their final appeals to Americans, especially those in key swing states, highlighting their unique visions for addressing the challenges of today and tomorrow. To bring these issues to life, let's look at a few recent events that reflect the stakes of the 2024 election and show how different policies could shape America's future. Economic policy in action. One pressing example of economic policy impact is the recent inflation crisis, which has hit families across the country. Over the past 2 years, rising prices for essentials like groceries, gas, and housing have underscored the urgency of economic reform. Biden's team points to the Inflation Reduction Act and rising job numbers as proof that their policies are delivering results. However, many Americans still feel the pinch, and Trump argues that tax cuts, fewer regulations, and domestic manufacturing incentives will provide relief more quickly and directly. The outcome of this election could determine the nation's economic direction and either continue Biden's initiatives or make way for Trump's proposed rollback of taxes and regulations. Healthcare costs. Another major flashpoint is the high cost of healthcare and prescription drugs. Biden's administration has recently implemented Medicare drug price negotiations to reduce prescription costs for seniors, a move his team believes is critical for making healthcare more affordable. Trump, however, has proposed healthcare changes that he claims would empower states and the private sector, arguing that increased competition will naturally lower costs. For many Americans struggling with medical debt, these differing visions represent a choice between building on government intervention or moving toward a more market-driven model. Environmental responses. As climate change fuels extreme weather events like hurricanes and wildfires, Biden's commitment to renewable energy investments aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and create green jobs. Conversely, Trump's energy platform calls for increased domestic fossil fuel production, arguing that energy independence will lower prices and boost job security. This policy divide is apparent in states like California, where recent wildfires have heightened calls for renewable energy solutions, while other states remain dependent on oil and gas jobs backing Trump's stance. These examples underscore how each candidate's approach could impact American lives in tangible ways, from economic relief to environmental protection and healthcare reform. With Election Day just 2 days away, the choice voters make on Tuesday will set the stage for America's future. As we approach Election Day, just 2 days away, Americans are gearing up to make one of the most important decisions in recent memory. With so much at stake, from the economy and healthcare to climate action and civil rights, this election is more than just a choice between two leaders. It's a vote on the direction of the country and the kind of future we want to build. No matter which side you're on, your vote has power. It's a way to influence policies that impact your life, your family, and your community. With record-breaking early voting turnout, it's clear that people recognise the stakes and every vote truly counts. So if you haven't made it to the polls yet, make a plan for Tuesday, whether that's voting early, mail-in, or in person. Thank you for watching and taking the time to stay informed. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who are getting ready for Election Day. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. What issues matter most to you this year? Your voice is essential, both here and at the ballot box. Until next time, take care and stay engaged.